one of my favorite memories of improv class when we were first learning, it was like the second day that we were learning anything at all about improv. And he had taught us the golden rules of improv. And Lennon, I don't know if you've ever done any improv stuff or anything. Okay. So like one of the golden rules of improv is if the other participant feeds you some factoid about you, that's gospel. That's the truth. You take it, you run, right? And so Mr. Shimolewski hadn't told us that like 30 minutes ahead of time. And then he sits down in the front row of the auditorium, and we're all divided up into two groups, one on each side of the stage, and we have to pair up and walk across and act like you're just meeting somebody on the street and go into something, right? Until he yells out this thing, and then they'd break, and then the next pair would go. Well, me and one of my conspirators who went on the other side, we let people get in front of us so that we'd be paired up for sure. And we come walking across there, and he goes something like, Tim Jones? And I go, no, Bob Smith. And he goes, oh, okay, never mind. And then we just walked off. And everybody lost it, because obviously that's the opposite of what you would do. And Shimolewski was like, he was laughing so hard he was about pissing his pants. But then he made us do one for real, of course. Right. But we got bonus points for comedy on that one.
Either of you remember a little magazine type thing about the size of the penny saver, and it was called the Learning Annex?
Yeah.
Vaguely, yes.
And in Southern California, they had classes on all different kinds of things, or little short seminars or whatever.
Good.
As Lauren was saying, the very first rule, number one, is whatever another person sends your way, the answer is yes. Go with it. Well, El Control Freako had a little bit of a time with that.
Yeah.
We were several weeks in, and I'm doing with some lady, and I'm always in my head, wrongly so, thinking that I can come up with a better concept, or be funny or whatever, right? So she says something, and I'm like, she says something else. I'm not sure about something else. So I give her like 3 no's to get to my brilliant idea.
Yeah, right.
And the guy just cuts it, and he goes, deny, deny, deny. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was like the first night rookie rule, and I'm still doing it, huh?
So she's like, so Bob, how's those hemorrhoids coming along? And you're like, no, I don't want to have hemorrhoids. Let's say I've got a gallbladder infection.
Yeah.
And she's like, line.
Those sound like all the games I made my students and actors do, because I didn't want to do them. George calls them reindeer games, and he hates them.
With all the theater, all the plays, you've not only been as an actress, I think you sing and dance too, right? And then you've directed a lot of plays, but you like to have a script that you can go by. You like to get into character.
I want to have the script, something brilliant that somebody wrote, but I enjoy good improv the best.
How intensely do you get into character?
Well, I haven't been in a play since 2002. My last play that I was in was The Sound of Music. I played Sister Margareta, the one that says, be very, very quiet in the graveyard. And I was frustrated throughout the show because the director wasn't doing what I thought he should do. And I kept wanting to say, so that was it for me. I knew that I just needed to not be an actor anymore, because I can see the big picture, and I'm a good director, and I can drive a show, and I have good time management. I don't waste people's time.
Oh, you would be a good director. What's the big picture? You're just always aware of the whole story, even when you're doing a bit or a part of it?
Well, were you talking as an actor or a director?
Director, when you said you see the big picture.
Well, there's bits that, of course, make the big picture. But yes, the director has a vision, and, you need to be able to communicate that to your folks, and they need to trust you. So you need to show that you're going to help them. See, they can't see themselves. This is the weird art form that you don't paint a picture and look at it. I have to tell them what it looks like. And they're so scared. Actors are just the scaredest things. I mean, they're up there, but they're so afraid not to be made of look a fool.
Well, sure. Nobody wants that. You know how I memorized? All the other lines on the tape recorder.
I do that too.
And then I was driving around, whatever I was doing, I had that thing playing until from the early on, and then I could do my, and then I could do 5 lines.
That's how George does his. He puts it on a tape or a CD and he practices.
And like James Garner used to say, I remember concepts. He knows that this scene is about blah, 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 but he wouldn't necessarily go home and memorize the script verbatim.
Well, then he has a director that doesn't want him to say dead letter perfect lines, but that wouldn't work for me.
Or maybe he was experienced enough to know those moments and not tamper with those.
Well, unless you want to be true to the script. I mean, there's a script. You don't improv a movie either. There's a script and you memorize your lines and you hit your mark and you do what you're told. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
But I'll tell you what I like about today's youth. They're into the technology, you guys. They do their due diligence. They study it up. If there's a new cell phone, they know every spec. They know what it does. They know what's going to be best for them. They'll spend untold thousands on this new piece of world-changing technology for the sole purpose of ignoring my telephone calls and texts.